She cried on camera. She delivered a heartbreaking eulogy. She even messaged true crime TikTokers, saying her parents' case would go viral. But behind all those tears, police would uncover a horrifying truth. 17-year-old Sarah Grace Patrick wasn't just a grieving daughter, she was a killer. On the morning of February 20, 2025, Sarah Grace's 6-year-old sister walked into their parents' bedroom in their quiet suburban home in Tennessee. She saw something no child should ever see. Kristen Brock, 41, and James Brock, 45, lay dead in bed, both shot multiple times. Panicked, the little girl ran to Sarah Grace, who quickly called 911. When first responders arrived, they found Sarah Grace sobbing, hugging her little sister tightly. Neighbors described Sarah as devastated, absolutely broken. To everyone around her, she was just a teenage girl whose world had been destroyed overnight. But investigators would later say that the tears were an act. In the weeks following the murders, Sarah Grace played the part of the grieving daughter flawlessly. She posted tearful videos online, crying over her parents' deaths. She delivered a dramatic, emotional eulogy at her parents' funeral that brought people to tears. And in a strange twist, she even reached out to true crime TikTok creators, telling them this case would be a really big hit online. People will want to know about it. At first, no one thought much of it. People grieve differently, after all. But investigators began noticing that Sarah Grace seemed too focused on attention. Instead of staying quiet, she was constantly online, talking about the case. Detectives began digging into Sarah's social media activity, and that's when things started to look strange. Her posts didn't sound like someone mourning her parents. She wrote about how interesting the case was. She hinted that she wanted true crime podcasts to cover it. Then came the physical evidence. Police found gunpowder residue on Sarah's clothing, something she had never explained. Security cameras near the family home captured her leaving the house the night of the murders and coming back shortly before calling 911. And on her phone? Investigators found search history that sent chills down their spines. How to make a murder look like a home invasion. How do police find fingerprints? Bit by bit, the image of the devastated daughter began to crumble. By early July, investigators had gathered what they called mountains of physical and digital evidence. They confronted Sarah Grace with everything. She denied it at first, crying and insisting she was innocent. But when detectives laid out the evidence, the gunpowder, the camera footage, the internet searches, Sarah Grace went silent. On July 8, 2025, she finally turned herself in. The teenager everyone had pitied, the one who played the perfect grieving daughter online, had staged her parents' murders. In the weeks following the murders, Sarah Grace played the part of the grieving daughter the teenager everyone had pitied, the one who played the perfect grieving daughter online, had staged her parents' murders. Sarah Grace Patrick is now facing first-degree murder charges. Her younger sister, the same little girl who found their parents' bodies, is now living with relatives, her childhood shattered. This case has left many asking one haunting question. Why would a 17-year-old murder the very people who raised her? This is Vanished and Unsolved, where real-life mysteries meet chilling true stories. As the investigation continued, everyone had the same question. Why? Why would a bright, seemingly well-adjusted teenager kill the two people who raised her? Sarah had no known history of abuse. Her family was middle class. Her parents were described as loving, involved, and supportive. So what drove her to commit such a brutal act? Prosecutors believe the motive may have been a twisted cocktail of resentment, attention-seeking, and a deep obsession with true crime fame. In the months before the murders, Sarah's online activity spiked. She wasn't just watching true crime videos, she was analyzing them. She joined forums. She saved clips. She studied famous cases where young killers became viral names. One chilling journal entry recovered from her phone read. Some people are remembered because of what they survived. Others are remembered for what they did. Another said, "What if I was the victim and the storyteller?" Detectives believe Sarah wanted to create a story that would shock the internet and put her at the center of it. Her behavior after the murders seemed to support this theory. She wasn't hiding. She was front and center, telling news outlets she wanted the world to know what happened. She seemed to crave the spotlight. But there was something else: money. Sarah's parents had life insurance policies, and though she was a minor, the total value of the policies would have been placed in a trust. A trust she would have access to once she turned 18. Add that to the fame she believed she'd get from going viral, and a dark picture began to form. One prosecutor later said, "It's like she wanted to be both the victim and the star of her own Netflix documentary." In court filings, Sarah's attorneys have hinted at possible mental health struggles, but no official diagnosis has been shared with the public. Was it anger? Money? Or was it something darker, a need for attention, fame, and sympathy from the online world? Whatever the reason, one thing is certain: sometimes, the monsters we fear the most are the ones we least suspect. But we'll keep you updated as more details emerge. Hit subscribe for daily true mysteries, and let me know your thoughts in the comments.